Okay, good. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to another edition of our class. Yesterday we treated a topic on we were able to we treated the exercises related to the test of orals that we gave, and we did correction to it. And for all those that participated, I have graded your scores, and I have sent you the performance. I think with that we are able to know where each and every one of us stand. So I would advise that every now and then we try as much as possible to go through what we have done in the test of orals, and we start practicing. Say practice makes perfection. So it's not easy for us to just believe that with just the class that we've done, we're perfect. It would be nice if we can continue to practice individually on our own. That is when we'll be able to get it. All right. Today, I want to go to something very important, and its importance actually, whenever we write, it aids the quality of our writing, and the effect is felt when we write. When we speak, it is usually not, manifest if we have issues with it. But when we write, it would show if at all we have perfected that or not. And unfortunately, these days of social media has actually aggravated, the condition of English language students in terms of the fact that the way they write, you are free to just write in any way. You really don't bother whether what you're writing is correct or not. So there are two aspects of it that I want to treat, but today we'll only be treating one of it, and that has to do with our spellings and our punctuation. Today, by God's grace, we would be going through spellings. We'll be going through the spellings, and I want us to really pay attention. We want to go through spellings. I know ordinarily, I mentioned spelling, some of us will feel like, what is there in spelling? Spelling that we've been doing since primary school. So is it is there anything new that someone will want to tell us that probably we've not done before, or that will be new to us? But the truth is, when you see people writing, you would know that there is actually issue with our spellings, especially these days of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the likes like that. All these social media apps that we have today. So it is important that we take care of it. So today, like I said, we'll be going through spelling. So I'll share the screen now. So for us to go through the slides that we have. All right. So we're going through spelling, like I said, spelling. That's the topic for today, spelling. Okay, we'll talk about spelling. Spelling is a very important feature of our writing. Like I said, for those of us that are, language students, we have what we call continuous writing. So it would show if at all we have mastered the art of spelling words in English language. Now, if your write-up, your work, your essay, your letter, your article, contains many spelling errors, it would be very difficult for people to read, or people will get tired. They find it uninteresting to read, especially for those that understand the language properly, that are very versed with the words of English language. They'll be able to, it'll be easy to pick out your mistakes. And for that, because it could give a wrong interpretation to what exactly you're trying to say. So it is important that we take care of spelling. And for us as students preparing for our SSCE, for every spelling in our, especially as it relates to the essay, we will be penalized. Half a mark is deducted from our mechanical accuracy. I remember, if you still remember, the class that we did on essay, the different types of essay, and the ways by which essay is assessed. I told us about content, expression, mechanical accuracy, and the other one is organization. Yes, pardon me for that. So content, organization, mechanical accuracy, and our expression come. So, and I said that for our mechanical accuracy, I have 10 marks waiting for you. But as you make mistakes, your tenses, your spelling, your punctuation, minus half is deducted from it. So the more you have as much as 20 mistakes of such, then the whole 10 marks is lost. So please, let's try to take note of it. Incidentally, English as a language is very, very complex with its spellings. It's not straightforward. It's not a straight jacket thing that the way you pronounce is the way you write. There are many words that have different words have different spelling patterns in English language. There are some, they follow a particular pattern, the way the sound goes, then the spelling also goes that way. But for so many, and that is in most cases, the spellings really do not go with the sound, except you know the spelling patterns for each of those sounds. And if you're well acquainted with those words, that is when you'll be able to distinguish the issues, the spelling issues that might come up. But then, and this is because English language came from many languages. So you have the words of English language, some of them have a French origin, some of them have the traditional English origin, some have German origin, some have Latin origin, some have Greek origin, and so many other ones like that. So it affects the way the words are spelled in English language because it retains elements of the origin where the word is coming from before it became adopted into the English language. All right, so we have two examples here. I would want us to pay attention to two sounds. One is a consonant sound and the other is a vowel sound. The consonant sound here is sh, sh. All right, so there are many ways by which the sh sound in English is spelled. Look at examples. Sharp, sh, sh, sharp. In sharp, it's the sh sound. You have sugar, just an ordinary s, and it produces the sound sh, sugar. Now look at this word. A lot of us pronounce it wrongly, especially in those days when UTME is separate from the we have what we call UME, you have PCE for JAMB exam then. So you hear people would say now this particular document has gone electronic. So in those days there is one big document like that. People call it bronchio. The truth is that word is brochure, brochure, brochure. Now you see CH. Ordinarily you are tempted to say brochure or brochure, but the reality is the sound of that word is sh, brochure, brochure. All right. So you have ocean, ordinary C, and it's producing the sound sh. You have ration, that is the measurement of food. Don't short my ration. All right, ration, nation, T, and it's also producing the sound sh. You have schnapps. That's a strong gin that people call local gin. That then in the days of Siemens and schnapps, aromatic schnapps. So the spelling, look at the spelling, schnapp, and it is still the sound sh. There you have three letters combined together to produce that sound, SCH, and it's still sh sound. Look at the next word. You have X, but the sound is sh, luxury. Although these has to do with like two double sounds combined consonant sound. It's a cluster. So luxury, luxury. So you say luxury. It is not luxury like many Nigerians will call it. It's actually luxury. Shh, shh. Look at fuchsia. Fuchsia. Fuchsia has to do with reddish brown color, or a garden where you have many of those flowers of that particular color. It's fuchsia. And look at it, CHS, still producing the sound sh, fuchsia. Ordinarily, you're tempted to say this is fuchsia or something like that, or fuchsia or something. But the truth is, the sound is fuchsia. Sh. You have conscious, SC, SC, and it's still sh sound. You have SS, assure, assure, assure. I'm sure you people know, you know the video assurance. Now, assurance. So assure is SS. So it's important we take note of this. Now, this same pattern, now by the time you go to a vowel sound, look at this diphthong, air, the diphthong air. You have care, A-R-E, care. And you have pair, A-I-R, a pair of shoes. Go there, E-R-E, air. You have there, E-I-R. Where, oh, sorry, where, E-A-R. I have barbarian, I-A-N, I-A, and it's still giving you air sound. So it means that it is not just about the way it sounds, that's the same way we're going to spell. So for English language, does not automatically, so it may be very well acquainted with the spelling of those words independent of the sounds. So let's take note of that. All right, so we have homophones. Yes, I decided to bring this up because this usually is one of the causes of confusion that people have when it comes to spellings. So a lot of times we hear it and we want to spell it like that. We confuse, words that are homophones when we want to spell them in writing. Look at already. That is, everyone is ready. Already. But look at already. It means before now. That has been done already. It means I have done it before now. Look at all right. This is the right way for us to actually write that word, all right. But usually, what we find that a lot of people spell is A-L-R-I-G-H-T. It is not, is the non-standard way of spelling all right. The standard it is to separate the all from the right. Now look at alter and alter. Alter, the first one, ER, means to change. Alter, a station within, the frontage of a religious house, like a church, the altar, where the minister, the officiating minister stays. You have all together, everybody together, putting something together. But all together, the second one means all at once. All right, the next accent. Sorry, assent. To assent here, assent. Assent here means to climb up. But the second assent means to agree or to sign something. Bear, without, barefooted. And to bear, to carry, or to be responsible for something. Brake, that part of a car that is used to, stop the movement of a car or of a vehicle. They have brake for something, to crumble, or for you to take a pause of something. Sight, and so many ones like that. So you have many examples like that that are responsible for the confusion people have. Now, the second of this slide shows us the mistakes people usually have too with some of these words. They are close in terms of pronunciation, but people usually make mistake when writing. You see, a lot of times someone wants to write as, person will write has, H-A-S, or someone wants to write has, person will write A-S. Practice and practice. Sometimes you get confused. When do I write this? Practice now, the other practice, S-E, a verb. Faith, faith, to determine your fate. That is, what would happen to you, your luck. Faith, belief. Advice, advice. Advice, now, advice, verb. Lose and lose. Lose means not tightly fitted. Then lose means that you lose, for you to, relinquish the possession of something. The past tense is lost. Sit and sit. One is a verb, one is a noun. Coerce, that is rough, something that has a rough surface. And coerce means to force, the second one, E-R-C-E, to force, something by force. Then you have clothes, clothes. THS, the first one, has to do with a material people wear, like your shirt, your suit, whatsoever. It's your clothes. It's a noun. That is a verb. That is a verb. Device and device. Device, a machine. Something that you use to get something done. The other device means to strategize, to plan. Diary, diary. Diary, the first one, IA, a book where you keep important information. The other one, dairy, that has to do with anything that is linked to milk production. And so on like that. So you have many of these words that if care is not taken, when we want to spell, we might mix them up. We'll be writing one instead of the other. So let's take note of that. People usually confuse some of these words and it affects communication. Look at four. You have about 4 different words there that people, can confuse together if they are not grounded in their spellings. So let's take note of this. So we'll move forward. Now we go to commonly misspelled words by students, writers, the general populace. Common spelled words. So you have the wrong one. I have put it into a table across 2 C's, across single C. So let's see. Occasion, the first one is wrong, where you have a single C and 2 F's. The second one, you have 2 C's, CC, and a single S, and that's the right spelling. Truly and truly. Truly, in terms of spelling, does not have an E. Now look at this. A lot of times we even make, mistakes in the pronunciation. The word actually is pronunciation, not pronunciation. So it's not a pronoun, it's not from the word pronoun. It's actually from the word pronounce. So pronouns. Pronounce is a verb. By the time it turns to a noun, a vowel is dropped. And the vowel that is dropped is the second O. So it's no longer pronunciation, it's actually pronunciation. That's the right word, and that's the right spelling, and that's the right pronunciation. It's pronunciation, not pronunciation. So the mistake we are making is we are transferring the origin to the desired word. The root word is actually pronouns. By the time it turns to a noun, it becomes pronunciation. Look at maintenance. Because you have the word maintain, verb. By the time it comes to a noun, it becomes maintenance. So it changes. It's no longer tame, it's now tenance. So let's take note of it. You say grievous, but in terms of spelling, it's O-U-S. It's not I-O-U-S. Let's take note. Interpret, yes. Many people add E at the end, but interpret does not have E at the end. Mischievous. Nigerians will call it mischievous. We have done that in terms of orals. But now, mischievous actually doesn't have I at the end. I-O-U-S, not I-O-U-S, rather it's O-U-S. Occurred. In this case, by the time you're turning it into a past tense, the R is doubled, so it becomes RR. It's not just a single R again. The same goes for transferred. Transfer, by the time it becomes transferred, the R is doubled. Proffer, to prefer a solution. Prefer, P-R-O-F-F-E-R. By the time it becomes past tense, then the R is doubled. So the R is not doubled. The R is not doubled. So you have this issue when you're trying to, it's not a one cap fits all thing. Occurred, yes, the R is doubled, but preferred, the R is not doubled. Referred, the R is doubled. So let's take note of this. All right. Now, profession, a lot of times many people write FF. When you are told, write professor too. Some people would still put FF. It's a single F. It is the S that is doubled. Profess, profession, professor. So it is only the S that is doubled. The F is a single one. Now, privilege, people put D because of edge. Edge, knowledge. You now bring it to privilege. Now, that will be wrong. So privilege has no D. Continuous, a lot of times we drop the U. But if you remember that it comes from the word continue. So when it becomes continuous, the U is retained. It is the E that is changed to O, and you add US. O-U-S, I mean. So it is continuous. You have U twice. Let's take notes. Then environment, some people spell environment because the way sometimes we pronounce the word environment is actually environment. So there is N in environment. The same thing goes for government. It's not government. It's govern, from the word govern, to govern. So when you govern, the institution responsible for governance is called government. Now look at, oh, I made a mistake there. It's actually the computer that was trying to do autocorrect there. Actually, some people spell, both words that we have here are correct. Some people would spell separate and would spell S-E-P-E-R-A-T-E. That will be wrong. But separate is S-E-P-A-R-A-T-E. Now, look at one funny word, harass and embarrass. Now, harass is single R, SS. So, if you spell harass and you put RR, you're when you spell embarrass, actually the R is double. So let's take note of it. In the case of omission, the M is single M. And in the case of writing, the T is single T. The mistake some of us would make is, after all, written is TT, written. But that is for written. But for writing, as a continuous form of the verb write, then it is single T. So those are the dynamics of the English language that as students we must be acquainted with. So I feel that I should call our attention to this. All right, so we move on. Now, one other issue that people have when it comes to spelling is the dichotomy between British spelling and American spelling. Although for Nigeria, we have the preponderance of British spelling, and that is what we consider as the standard spelling of the English language, because that's the origin of the the language itself. But unfortunately for American, we have to understand the fact that it's a decision by Americans in trying to be unique and erase all forms of their roots to British colony, that they are not British, they are different from British, and they don't want to have anything to do with the British people, that they are totally different. And that's why you see that America is not a member of the Commonwealth of Nations. So it's part of what we must understand. And that is why, in trying to be unique, they designed a different version of their own English. So they don't want British English, they want American English. And that's why there are some words that they have decided to, some dynamics they've introduced to the English language in order to be. I must be aware of these uniqueness. Now, America is a superpower, so a lot of times you get to see some of their words and their spellings of the English, all over different documents all around the world. So, but it is important that we recognize the origin of the English language itself. And for us as Nigerians, it is important that we also take note of these differences between British English and American English. All right, so you have examples. So I've also made these aspects, this aspect into a table, and we have different forms of these words that you have this dichotomy. All right, so you have American, British words that have AE or OE, whereas in the American spelling, it's just the E that is retained. The A before the E or the O before the E is removed. So we must get to know about. All right, examples are anemia. It's a sickness. So in anemia, we have AE, like sickle cell anemia. All right, so in spelling the anemia, that is AE. But if it is American spelling, the E is dropped, the A is dropped. So it's just the E that you would see. Anesthesia, you have anesthesia. So you have it like that. Pediatrics, the aspect of medicine that specializes on the treatment of children. Pediatrics, American, no A before the E. Feces, your waste products. So by the time you get to American spelling, you'll see E there, not the A. Fetus, embryo. So OE, British, ordinary E, American. So let's take notes. Now we also have some other set of words. OUR words. For American is just OR. So you have examples: labor, color, honor, neighbor, odor, favor, and many other words like that. That for the British spelling, you have O-U-R. By the time you get to American spelling, you will see ordinary O-R. If you type on the computer or on your phone, a lot of times, if you put O-U-R in your spellings, for a lot of apps, for a lot of programs, if you put O-U-R, it will underline it as if it is. By the time you try to check, the spelling suggestions, you see O-R. Now, where it is coming from, because a lot of Americans, or were designed using the American English, the English of the United States of America is what is used. So take note, so that when you're typing, you know what you want. If you're using the British English, know it. And even for your phone, you can set it that your English, you want the English, United Kingdom English. So it will not underline some of these words. So if you want to use your phone as a guide, so that it can actually spell check whatsoever you're typing. All right, so that is that. You have another example, another group of words. Now, these ones, R-E and E-R. R-E for British, E-R for American. Examples: theater, center. You have fiber, saber, and somber. Now, these words for the British English, you have R-E as the spelling, but for American English, you have it as E-R. So let's take notes. All right. The other group, which is by the side, has to do with I-S-E and I-Z-E. All right. So you have criticize. For British, it is I-S-E. For American, it's I-Z-E. So you have criticize, you have analyze, you have apologize, you have civilize, you have penalize. So let's take note of all these. So you know if someone is writing a particular one, and coincidentally, for those of us that are writing, if you are writing even for your SSCE, the standard is for you to use the British. But if you would use American, then you have to be consistent, including your date. So take note. So if you want to use British, use British. If you want to use American, use American in your essay. But if you mix the two together, then you'll be guilty of inconsistency. Then that'll be a problem for you. All right. So, like I mentioned, the issue of dates now, I have told us before when we were writing a letter, and you want to put a date, that if it is the British, then the day comes before the month. 19th October, like today is 9th June. If it's American, it is June 9. So you won't put CH after the 9. So let's take note of that. Now, we also have another group here. Now, UE. Whereas in American, there is no UE. So you have examples in analog, epilogue, prologue, monologue, dialogue. All these ones you would see GUE in the British English, while in the American English, you don't have any UE after the G. Now, let's come to program. I need to explain this. Program, like a normal thing, an event. That's what we mean. The first one. The British English is program MME. For American, is ordinary M. So if you're now talking about that event and the design, you now want to use it as a verb. The past tense has been programmed to run like that, or we have programmed the event to come up on a fortnight basis. So programmed in that way, you have MMED. For American is MED. The M is not doubled. They would use just a single M. Take notes. Now the third one there, program, you're talking about in computing, software, program. Now, in that one, for Americans, they will now use MME. You can imagine. Now, that same program in computing, if you all right, so program, if you want to use it as a verb in computing, that one, both of them agree, program. Let us program this computer to shut down at so time. Program. Single M, both of them. But by the time you now want to get the past tense of that program in computing as a verb, then for British English, it is still programmed, but for American English, it's single M. So you need to take note of this. I hope we are still together. The final slide, all right, yes. So you have L. In American, in British English, some words that involve LL, you have two L's in a single word, like traveled, leveled, counselor, counseling. For American, they decide to use, you have single L. So you have to take note of this. Single L, traveled, leveled, counselor, counseling, single L. All right. Now, coming down to some other words, smolder, where you have OU. For American, the U is removed. Plow, this is their own version of the spelling. Plow, Plow, not UGH. Mold, like in sculpture, mold. Then for American, it is mold, MOLD. So let's take note of these two so that we are able to differentiate between British and American spelling. All right, on a final note is this: British and American equivalent terms. There are some terms or words that I have in British English that Americans have an equivalent word for it, so they don't make use of the same word. So you have aerial. It is British that call it area. You know, remember in our homes, we say, look at our area, look at our area. So that is the spelling. That what they call aerial is not area, it's aerial. And you have antenna. So it's Americans that have antenna, while British have Arial. So let's take note of that. Let's take note of that. Then you have check. Check. The one you use to cash money in a bank. Check. Americans would have it as CHECK, while the British have it as CHEQUE. So it's important we take notes of that too. Look at, you have lifts. Americans have elevator. Lift, elevator. So both, you are still saying the same thing, but in different contexts. In American context, it is elevator. In British context, it is lift. So know the difference now. All right. Then you have kerosene. What we call kerosene is actually British. For Americans, it's paraffin. Paraffin. So let's take note of that. And that's why if you go to some, filling stations that you have around, you would see DPK. DPK means kerosene. You will see PMS, petroleum motor spirit, what we know as petrol. For Americans, it is gasoline or simply gas. I want to fill my gas. When an American is telling you, I want to fill my gas, he's telling you he wants to actually buy petrol into his car. So please understand. I expect some of us to know this, at least some of us watch films very well. So it is important you take note of it. So when you hear petrol, it is British. When you hear gas or gasoline, then you're talking about, American. All right. Look at this again. You have exclamation mark. That exclamation mark that you know in your punctuation, Americans will call it exclamation point. Or you say full stop, Americans will say period. It's the same thing. Full stop, period. So you say period, that's American. If you say full stop, then that's British. So don't say period, full stop. That would be tautological. Boxers, shorts. Pants, trousers. Boat, yachts. So let's take notes of some of these differences or equivalent terms. When you use any of them, you're saying the same thing. Don't say antenna area or elevator lifts. Or some of us say pant trouser, pant trouser. You're saying nonsense. There is nothing like pant trouser. You have pants, you have trousers. You're saying the same thing. Now, for females, that thing that you wear, your underwear, it's not pants, it's panties. So when you say pants, you are talking about trousers. Please, let's take note of that. I think I explained this to us the other time too, when I was trying when we were dealing with test of oral English. I told us that sometimes I have what we call pants of blood. Is a measure of quantity of blood, probably that is donated or that is transfused into a patient. So when we say that thing you wear underneath is not pants, it's panties. Let's take notes. So that is that. So then we have this short exercise for us to practice. We'll submit this. This is 112. I'll post this on the Edmodo platform now. So if I would set the time before, I expect that we submit this before 4 o'clock today, before 4 o'clock today. So you pick the option that is correct of all these spellings. So, but take notes of it. So I'll post it on the Edmodo platform and on each of WhatsApp platforms that we all belong. Thank you very much for listening. So at this juncture, I will try to unmute us now so that for those of us that have questions based on what we have done so far, would be free. It's time for us to ask our questions now. We are free to do so. Yes, who has a question? So you can unmute yourself if you have a question, please.